You know, either younger than us or, you know, passed and retired. So why not? You know, I want to challenge myself. The best always looking to fight the best and challenge themselves, you know, and why not, you know, challenge.
Terence Crawford can't beat him, right? This is a money grab for Terence Crawford. It's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy.
But if you study Floyd closely like I have, you will notice that he never wastes any steps while he's in the ring.
In a live interview with Stephen A. Smith, Terence Crawford apparently agrees to Floyd Mayweather's offer of a bout. According to Crawford, boxing is about pushing boundaries and accepting challenges of any size. He is prepared to take the field once more and stresses that the greatest should battle the best. Crawford said calmly and confidently that taking on Mayweather is just one more opportunity for him to establish himself and go above and beyond.
Because this is Terence the businessman talking, right? They got to pay the cheddar to make it better, right?
For sure, for sure. All money ain't good money, so you got to know that.
Okay, fair enough. I hate to use the word easy, but at times it did feel like you were, you know, having a really easy time out there. Were you expecting it to play out that way?
Listen, it's never easy, you know.
In his coverage of sports, Stephen A. Smith has always been vocal, and boxing is no exception. He acknowledges an accomplishment that is uncommon in contemporary boxing when he commends Terence Crawford for becoming a champion in 4 separate weight classes. Crawford's ability to dominate at 4 different weights puts him in a unique position in a time when boxers are sometimes hesitant to switch divisions due to the risks involved. Stephen A. emphasizes that Crawford is an all-time great pound-for-pound fighter because of his flexibility and superiority. It demonstrates his technical proficiency, mental fortitude, and drive to keep pushing himself against more tougher opponents in addition to his physical versatility.
Terence Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab. He used his distance. He had poise in the ring. He wasn't rattled. He backed up and moved when necessary and kept us different. He exchanged enough to gain respect when necessary. It was a brilliant, brilliant, masterful fight on Terence Crawford's part.
Roy Jones Jr., a legend who understands what it takes to dominate across weight classes, praised Terence Crawford for his brilliance in the ring, especially in his fight against Canelo Alvarez. Jones highlighted Crawford's rare ability to study and borrow from the styles of fighters like Floyd Mayweather and Aries Landila, both of whom had previously troubled Canelo. What sets Crawford apart, according to Jones, is not just imitation but adaptation. He molds borrowed techniques into his own rhythm, making them even more effective in real-time scenarios. This ability to observe, adjust, and seamlessly incorporate new strategies showcases Crawford's high boxing IQ and sets him apart from fighters who rely solely on one style. His versatility and intelligence in the ring, Jones believes, are what make Crawford truly special, and incredibly hard to beat at the elite level.
Alvarez has been a great fighter his whole career. People like Aries Landila gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. People like Floyd Mayweather also gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. But Bud is more fierce, more fearsome, and more angrier and more meaner than both of those guys. So you know if they showed you the blueprint, Bud gonna go out there, take that blueprint, and do even more with it, which is what Bud did. So it was never a question in my mind whether Bud really was going to outbox me. It's just if he could take the punch. And right away he showed, bam, he could take the punch. So I knew from that point, if he just slow him down, which he did, he'd be okay. Then late in the fight, what other people still didn't see, late in the fight, Bud started hitting Canelo's body. One of those body shots, I think about the 7th or 8th round, hurt Canelo. I was like, whoa. Bud hit him in the right spot then, and he got Canelo's respect with that too. So Bud fought a very, very awesome fight, fought a beautiful fight, very tactical.
Very controlled.
Yes, it was a beautiful fight for boxing.
It was a beautiful fight. You know, Bud got hit with some shots.
He did. He did.
He got hit with some single shots going out. You know, he's going out and you know Canelo, if he has you trapped in the corner or along the ropes, it's typically 1 to 2 big shots. You know that if you've watched him.
Yep.
So you could tell Crawford, as he was going out, he knew the one shot was coming, and several times it landed. He even got hit with a 2-piece. I don't remember what round it was, uppercut right hand that Crawford took well. So when you started seeing him absorb the shots, if you're Team Crawford, you don't want him to take that shot. But if you started seeing that, now you know that, okay. And I think that's what gave Crawford the green light to stay there a little bit longer.
He smiled about it.
He smiled about it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that smile can be a lie. And sometimes that smile can mean what I think it meant for Crawford, which is, oh, that's not as bad as I thought it was.
The idea of Terence Crawford facing Floyd Mayweather, even in an exhibition, has stirred strong debate. Critics argue it could tarnish Crawford's legacy, suggesting he be chasing money instead of building on historic wins like his dominant performances against Errol Spence and Canelo Alvarez. They believe stepping into Mayweather's current world of lucrative exhibitions, rather than meaningful, legacy-defining fights, could send the wrong message. After years of hard work, some feel Crawford risks being seen as prioritizing profit over purpose. However, others believe his legacy is already cemented. From undisputed championships to dismantling elite opponents, Crawford's place in boxing history is secure. To them, a bout with Mayweather wouldn't diminish his accomplishments. It would simply add another intriguing chapter to a remarkable career, blending spectacle with the story of a generational talent still writing his own legacy.
Terence Crawford. It's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy. This is what was being said, right? This is what people perceived. Terence Crawford was just attempting to cash out.
The discussion gets complicated when supporters contrast Mayweather and Crawford's careers. Floyd has victories on his resume against some of the biggest names in sports. Floyd's detractors, however, frequently draw attention to the timing of his triumphs. Pacquiao had injuries during their highly anticipated fight in 2015, while Canelo was still youthful and inexperienced when he met Mayweather. In addition, Floyd's refusal to agree to rematches, especially with Pacquiao, left many fans with unanswered questions. Crawford, on the other hand, has dominated opponents who were thought to be at their best when they faced him. This analogy feeds into the never-ending arguments over whether Mayweather's skill or strategic timing and matchmaking were more responsible for his ring prowess.
Floyd Mayweather is still greater than Terence Crawford. We need to really talk about this now. A lot of you guys are putting Crawford a bit too high. If you want to say Crawford could beat Floyd, I'm more open to that conversation, but when you're lining up the careers, I'm going to say Floyd every time. While they're both 5 division, Bud has become 3-time undisputed, but he's only fought 10 world champions to Floyd's 25 world champions. You can't take away the 5 division, 3-time undisputed. In terms of accolades, yeah, he probably gets the nod over Floyd. I say their accolades are about relative, considering Floyd Mayweather won Fighter of the Decade as well. But when you get to the resumes, Pacquiao, Oscar, Canelo, Cotto, Mosley, Castillo, Marquez, Zab, Gotti, Hatton, and Corley. There's probably way more people that this guy just didn't name. And then when you get to Bud's resume, not saying it's just bad, but the only names that's really worth mentioning is going to be Spence and Canelo. It's not a knock on Bud. Bud was not able to make those fights early on in his career. But I got to tell you guys what it is. Bud's resume just doesn't line up with Floyd's. Take their top 20 wins. Bud don't even got 20 wins to really sit here and name. Floyd got a good 20-something plus. Bud probably got about 10 wins that we could really sit here and name. Floyd's still greater than Bud, in my opinion.
According to renowned boxing expert Tony Jeff, Floyd Mayweather's biggest strength was not just his speed or defense but also his mentality. Jeff said Floyd was genuinely fearsome because he never wavered in his confidence that he could defeat anyone. Mayweather's belief in his superior boxing intelligence always provided him an advantage, even in bouts where the odds appeared to be close. He stood out from other fighters who just used physical prowess because of his ability to analyze opponents, change course in an instant, and remain composed under duress. According to Jeffer, Floyd retired with an impeccable record because of his psychological advantage and technical skill, which made him seem nearly unstoppable. Fooled. The boxing world is constantly in search of exciting bouts. And Terence Crawford versus David Benavidez has been one of the most discussed options lately. Benavidez contributes strength, bulk, and unrelenting violence, characteristics that provide a special difficulty. Supporters believe that Crawford might be pushed beyond his comfort zone in this battle. Despite the fact that nothing has been formally stated, speculation is still rampant. In contrast to demonstration spectacles that are more financially significant than athletically significant, this discussion demonstrates the desire of spectators for high-risk, legacy-defining bouts. A fantasy match for many boxing fans.
Mindset, they're really confident, they really believe in themselves, but you need more than that mindset. You need to have the full package of everything that I'm talking about, what Floyd has got.
Fighters should only want to get better. The more you win, the more you should work hard. If you think about losing, you're going to lose. All I ever thought about was winning. So that's all I know.
Floyd would visualize his success before he even stepped into the ring. There was no alternative to him but winning. And this mindset isn't just for boxing, it's for all walks of life. And I've actually done a full video talking about how I used this mindset of visualization to win my Olympic medal. And it was an absolute game changer. Now, Floyd used to use this mindset to ease the pressure that he put himself under. And he made himself think like, I'm not under any pressure right now, where he was under immense pressure.
Pressure either makes you or break you. Well, you see where I'm at, so it's obvious that I'm the type of athlete or I'm the type of entertainer that can deal with pressure. There's never no pressure.
Now, if you watch his fight in 2013 when he fought Canelo Alvarez, Canelo came in a young, strong, undefeated fighter, but by round 2, Floyd kind of had him figured out. He was reading Canelo's jab. He would slip outside and then come back with a clean counter punch, then move his feet and get out of the way. He basically had the full fight under control, and he was controlling the full rhythm of the fight. He was forcing Canelo to fight at his pace. And this is what he would do in all of his fights. He would get his opponent to do what he wanted them to do without their opponent even realizing it, which is what we call boxing IQ. Now, even though I'm not a fan of Floyd Mayweather personally, because of the time when I did meet him, what he said to me made me just feel like this guy.
Crawford versus Benavidez would symbolize the struggle of technique versus size and accuracy versus aggressiveness.
Not me, but shocked the world. This past Saturday, Mexican Independence Day weekend, what he took on defeated another first ballot Hall of Famer, but he essentially jumped up 3 weight classes, technically 2, from 154 to 168, but only had 1 fight at 154 last August against Israel Majamov. Terence Crawford defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is a 4-division champion, 2-time undisputed super middleweight, and the reigning, at the time, super middleweight world champion, undisputed world champion. And Terence Crawford beat him handily and convincingly. And because he beat him so easily, now the 63 win, 3 loss, 2 draw, 39 win by way of knockout, biggest threat has been now imposed on Terence Bud Crawford. And that's the Mexican Ecuadorian monster, David Benavidez, who is a 2-division undefeated world champion, is the 2-time WBC super middleweight and reigning WBC light heavyweight, 175-pound champion, who has a record of 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. He stands 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. This is a fight that David Benavidez has been calling for Canelo Alvarez when he was at 168, and Canelo Alvarez strategically maneuvered around him. But Canelo Alvarez is 5'7", with a 70-inch arm reach, started his career at 147 pounds, made his real name at 154 pounds. He's not a big guy, okay? And styles make fights. Benavidez is 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. His last fight at 168 against Demetrius Andrade, he rehydrated to 193. So he's a big guy. Canelo Alvarez probably rehydrate to 182 maybe. 185 max, right? He's not a big guy, right?